Well, hello and welcome. This is the Digital Office at Home podcast, and I'm Marian LaSalle. We have Gail as my co-host, and our wonderful guest today, Carey Handley. Hi, Carey. Hi, Gail.
Hi, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Oh, yeah. It could be afternoon when they're watching this, or you know what? It could be
Could be
like
morning.
midnight. You never know when they're.
Guten Tag. I don't know. See,
That's right. That's right. This is a casual podcast, getting to know people, understanding a little bit about the digital world, and we love every minute of it. So let's think about what we're going to say today. What are we going to say today that's going to encourage somebody to either start a new business, start working from home, or just joining a community that's very supportive. So let's start there.
yeah, different ways that you can control your own life, control your own destiny.
Thank you, Gail. Gail, I appreciate that so much. So Gail and I have decided to start this new podcast so that we can encourage people to do exactly that. What is it that you really want? What is it that your heart's desire has been poking and prodding at you, but you haven't listened? Maybe you have been listening, but you don't know how to make it happen. So, Gail, let's start with you. Tell me what brought you here today.
Today, especially today. Well, I love Carey's business, and she'll be talking about that. But I like the fact that she has owned her own business for quite a while. And when I looked at her website, there really isn't anything she can't do to help a company get more visual, more seen out in the world. I mean, really the world. So when I was a freelancer for about 2 minutes and I hated every minute of it because I felt like I was on call 24/7. Like when people had a thought for their business, it was constantly coming in. And I was like, oh my, no, I didn't sign up for this. I wanted to own my own business, but not be owned by all these people that need me all at once. And it just was too much for me. And so I can't wait to hear Carey speak, because it seems like she's got everything under control. It is like a freelancing kind of business. She's doing all this work and helping a lot of people grow their business. So for me, I wanted to hear more about, Carey's business. And for myself, I mean, I'm just, trying to get my own messages out in digital ways, and just different ways to, get my fingerprint out into the world, or footprint, or whatever print.
Well, I think that's wonderful. And, it's hard to toot your own horn sometimes. So I'm going to toot, a little bit for Gail. Gail it's hard to even put a word to describe her, because she's so many things to so many people, but encouraging is definitely the one thing that I would say. For me, you are an encouragement. And for those people who want to hire a coach, a personal or business coach, I think you need to go and check out her information. So I'm going to put your information up here, and don't yell at me for doing that.
I do like to help people think out of the box. I do like to help people think, because sometimes they get stuck. And then if they just have a fresh, view of what their thoughts are. And I always think, like, have you thought of this, or have you thought of that? And they're like, oh my gosh, I have thought of that, but I forgot I thought about it. Now that you're mentioning it, I think I should do that, or I think I should do this. So I kind of like
too close to our own
Yeah.
self to be able to look objectively at it.
Yeah. So it's kind of a fun thing that I
So
do.
go to gailkendig.com, and she's got a book that you can download. It's called if you go to Amazon and you have a Kindle, you can download it for free, or you can buy a copy. It's called The $1 Million Personality. And she's not talking about her personality. She's talking about somebody, that has a personality that made them very wealthy. And I loved it. Okay. I got to talk more about the $1 Million Personality book that you wrote. But for right now, let's talk to
Carey.
our guest. That's right. We'll dig more into your book in a little bit. So, Carey, I've known you for quite some time, and we have. I've actually contacted Carey once because I had a client who needed a very specific logo. And
Oh,
so we had a really nice conversation about this particular client. And so that was recently. But over the years, we've seen each other in business. Carey has seen me with her husband, who is an attorney here in the Houston area. And she's seen me do podcasts and things with him. And so I think it's interesting that little by little, we get to know people because of different things that are going on in our lives. So let's talk a little bit about how you got started in business way back when.
Way back 24 years ago.
24 years ago.
Yes. So for me, it was born out of necessity. Gail knows that Marian knows that I have a daughter with special needs, and I needed to be able to provide. My husband and I needed to be able to provide for her, but I needed the flexibility to be able to take her to private schools, to tutoring, to therapies for diagnoses, things like that. So I had been working for a small mom and pop copy shop in the Houston area, and decided that I really needed to try to do this on my own so that I could work at night when I needed to be taking care of my daughter during the day. At that time, January 1st, 2000, there weren't a lot of people at networking meetings without their address on a business card. Most people had a brick and mortar location of whatever their business was. And I was the oddball. I didn't have that. Now you look at it and it's almost completely flipped. A lot of people are doing that. But I had to find a way to do what I was doing and compete with the bigger companies. It's a hard thing to do. When you go into business for yourself, you've got to figure out a way. Why are they going to come to me rather than going down the block? So I read a book called The Guerrilla Marketing
Oh, I remember that.
Businesses.
Yep.
And it was a game changer for me. And I do a lot of reading. I love to read. I love to learn things. I love to talk to people, learn things that way as well. I was heavily involved in networking. But this book basically said, you've got to find whatever it is that makes you different and why they would come to you instead of having what they perceived were more resources at a local shop. Well, I've developed this business into something that I can provide not only everything that the local shops can do, but much, much more. I send thank you notes for every job I do, even if it's a simple name badge. I go to meet with my client where it's convenient for them. I get to know them before we ever sit down to do business together. I want to know who they are. And I know I've gone over what you've asked, the question you've asked, but it all relates back to how you're going to set yourself up and be competitive with the competition in the brick and mortar locations, no matter what your business is.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, I love that too. And being that you have to find a way to do what you need to do for your family, and that you were able to do that by working from your home. I just have a couple of other questions about that. Like, tell me about the clients that you wanted to serve. I mean, are you still serving that same client just in bigger and better ways, or did you have something that happened that you just had to make this your thing for the rest of your life? I'm excited to find out what encouraged you to start with the client that you had in mind in the very beginning. How were you able to do that and still service your daughter in the way that she needed it, and your husband too?
Right. So that's an interesting question. When I started my business, the people that had been coming to see me at this local copy shop, ask them for my number when they found out that I quit.
There we go.
I said to them, I said, everyone that called, I said, look, you're their client. You're not my client. You know, that I met you through them. That fair is fair. I can't take you as a client. And they said, well, we're not going to, every one of them said, we're not going to stay with them. You know, we'll go
We
somewhere
want
else.
you. We don't want them. We want you. You're the one.
Right.
Your
Well, I had
personality,
been doing their
$1 million
work.
personality, right, Gail?
That's right.
Well, it's, you know, and I was torn, you know, but I made it very, very clear on a number of occasions to each one of the people that came to me that they were not, you know, I wasn't interested in stealing, and I'm still not interested in taking business from someone. If I find out that I'm networking with someone and I'm talking to a person and they say, well, they've been using X, Y, or Z company. I said, great. As long as you're happy with them, stay with them. I'm not interested in, you know, there should be enough business to go around. I built this business on my integrity, and not only my skill as a graphic designer and print professional, but on my integrity and my honesty. I'm going to tell you, if you're happy, stay where you are. I'm not going to try to steal somebody. And that's how I started out in this business. And one of my first clients is still a client of mine. He's a real estate agent, and I owe him a lot because he gave me a lot of faith, you know, and helped me realize that I could do this. And because, you know, there's always, when you start a business, especially back when I did, I was wondering, do I have the discipline to be at home all day? Hey, there's a TV in the other room. Do I, you know? And I found out that I did. I didn't have an interest in doing anything but what it was I was doing, learning about my business, cultivating it, trying to look for clients in networking events or look for relationships. It's all about the relationship for me. It's not about, I want this job and I never want to see this person again. I want this job to be something that leads to a friendship, a long-term client. And in the case of one of my first clients, it has worked its way into being a first, you know, a great relationship on a personal level as well as a professional level.
It's so great. Yeah, I can see that your first client, because I automatically visualized that I think you said he,
Yes.
that the two of you could actually do a seminar where he is helping other agents, maybe under him, and you are also a person that could be at the seminar and giving ideas to the class, where you're teaming up and you just show what you've done for other agents. And, you know, I mean, you may not want to do that. You may be too big to do that. But you know, I mean, that's my brain is always thinking in terms of how much more can you do with your reach, you know, and I think that person would help, and it would help his business. So it's always a win-win.
I love that idea. And as a matter of fact, he had me deliver one of his jobs purposely at a certain time because he was on a Zoom call with his team and he wanted to introduce me. And I've gotten some clients from that. But he said one of the most important things early on, he came, you know, he was talking to me and he said, I can't do what you do. And I'm like, I can't sell houses. You know, that's why you hire somebody like me to give an objective look, as going back to what we said before, an objective look of your business, and try to find out. What I strive to do is find the unique in my client and then market that.
Yeah.
Translate that into print.
Yeah.
I want to know what you see for your future. You know, COVID changed a lot of businesses. A lot of people want to, you know, get away from having to travel to go to work. They want to work from home, that type of thing. Has that affected your business, and where do you see yourself? In the next 5 years, do you have plans already?
Well, I can tell you that the last 5.5 years, when I joined our local chamber, which I am very involved in, and I joined another particular networking group, that's when my business really started to escalate because I was learning some skills that I didn't have before in terms of networking for myself. I can go and I can talk about my husband's business. I can talk about special needs. I can talk about being a special needs parent. It's always harder for me to talk about what I do, even though what I do is good. It's harder for me to, do that. I'm a triple design award winner. I am a 2-time Best in Katie marketing firm winner. But those are the things that are those are important to me, very important, because it's validation. But what's important to me more so is developing that client base that's going to stay with me for the long haul. And about the next 5 years, I am happy the way that I have been networking, marketing myself, talking with clients and potential clients. I want to escalate that. I would like to get a little bit better at that 30-second commercial, because that's where I seem to have the most trouble. I can do a one-on-one, I can talk to people and I can have a great conversation with them. But when you're standing up and all eyes are on you and you're doing that 30-second, that's what could use a little fine tuning. So would like to do that. I also would like to continue to learn skills that I hate to say it this way, but the younger business people are doing, because I'm not one of the younger business people. So it's important to keep tabs of what they're doing in addition to what I'm doing for my current clients. I need to get a little bit more into their heads, I think, their headspace. A lot of people now are going to digital business cards and things like that. This is really interesting. I'm a very visual person. I'm very tactile. I like to hold things and I like the physical card. And I also I can associate people with what their card looked like, where I can't do that with a QR code. And with somebody, I was at a networking meeting the other day, and I'm going on, I know, but I was at a networking meeting the other day, and I asked for their card, and they wanted to shoot me their digital card. There was no self-service, so he couldn't do it. And that's why it's important to bridge that gap between the digital and the print worlds.
I hear a book coming on. Because you are bridging the gap, but you're aware that there is a gap. And I think that because you could just have a plethora of stories behind you of all of the people that you've helped and how uniquely you've helped each person. It's not cookie cutter. I did this for so-and-so. Oh, can you do that for me? It's not going to still be the same. It's still such an individual thing. But now you've got the digital world, and now you are the bridge. And I love that. I think that you could, just say we happen to, pass away while we're sleeping in the middle of the night. You have so much value to leave the world. You've got so much to give right now. And I would encourage you to start documenting chapters. Oh, I could do a chapter on that. I could do a chapter on that. And if you have like 10 chapters, that's a book, or maybe even less. You have so much value to bring. I think you should think about that. That's just,
I appreciate that. The most important thing that one of my clients said to me is, your marketing has to speak for you when you are no longer in the room.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that's why I do the fun stuff. You saw it on my website. I do the foil edged cards. I do.
Beautiful.
I've gotten business because somebody picked up my card that I left at a restaurant.
Yeah.
In a stack. I mean, that's what you want. That's what everybody should want for their business to be.
And those are all great stories. You've got to accumulate them. They're not just like a fly-by-night statement. These are valuable stories that you are giving people, and say, let me show you a way, because they cannot think for themselves. And there's so many distractions right now that they're struggling between the distraction and wanting to be successful, not knowing how to get there or be that person. And they're not allowing themselves to stop being distracted in order to find that way. But you can open up their eyes and their ears and say, oh, I love that, or I love that, or can you do that for me?
It's like that realtor client was saying that he can't do this. Well, that's why I hire a bookkeeper, because numbers and me, that we don't get along. And
Right.
I mean, that's not my forte. That's her forte. So she comes over once a month and does my sales tax and all of that.
Fantastic.
But that's why you hire professionals, is because it is to make you look, to let you have the ability to focus on what your business is.
Exactly.
Let the experts in other areas, I have an IT guy that comes over and fixes my computer when it breaks. But,
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to do that myself. And it's the same thing with marketing. And what's come up recently is with the advent of Canva and online things like that. People think they're graphic designers. Well, there's a lot more to it than being able to slap things together. And when you go to print what you have designed for web, it's not going to work right. Your colors are going to be off and you're going to wonder why. So it's great if you want to use things like that for social media. But if you need to have a professional print job done, then that's where I come in.
I've got 100 questions that are flying through my head right now. And one of the things I think is great is Gail always says, "Oh, Marian, you always bring something to the table that's great to share for people." Because what you've said is, I think most people in business for themselves have a problem with, and that is their 30-second commercial. So I'm going to recommend that everybody think about joining a networking group online. It's wemeetwednesdays.com, I believe, because what they do is they force you to do that. They have these programs. It starts at 10 in the morning and it goes all the way till 10 at night because it's worldwide. And they have speed networking, and they have these programs where not this week because Christmas is here and Hanukkah and all that stuff. Everybody's celebrating right now, but basically their program, and I'll put this up on the screen so you don't have to go and hunt for it. What they do is they allow you to try out your spiel, your 30-second, your whatever it is that your offer. Okay, so people come in and they watch you do your offer, and then they give you feedback. So you're selling, but you're not selling, because I've made sales that way, right? Because people heard my sales pitch that I was trying out, and they loved it so much they thought, "Oh, well, I want a website, Marian, that's great, So anyway, you get to try it out. It's a wonderful opportunity. Now, the only other thing I can think of that's online, that I know of, is what do they call it? It's a weekly, but it costs a lot of money. I can't think of the name of it right now for some. BNI, Business Networking International. It's very expensive. And then we have the chambers, which are just kind of, they don't really help you design your 30-second commercial, right?
Well, actually, our chamber just started something called Networking University.
Oh, okay.
And it's meeting monthly, and we're working on things like that. So it's fascinating. The Fulshire Katy area chamber of commerce.
Is it specifically for an area, not nationwide or?
Well, no, it's because it's in person.
Their local chamber.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. So the Fulshire Katy area chamber of commerce coordinated with Tony Gambone and to do this networking university, and it's going to culminate in the spring at a large networking event at one of our arenas here. So,
okay. Well, I get that, but not everybody that's listening to this podcast is in your area. So they might want to reach out and check out this We Work Wednesdays. And now it is for women. I'm sorry, men. Sorry, it is for women. But it seems to be like a safe space online to try out your pitch or your 30-second commercial or a product or a service that you want to offer. So I'll put that. But I want to talk more about networking and about how do we promote ourselves. So you talked a lot, Carey, about just word of mouth and your local and you doing things for your husband and your daughter. I understand that, but sometimes we have to just get right down to it and promote ourselves. Like, it's important, especially when we're first starting out. We don't have the time to waste not waste, but you know what I mean. You need to get some money coming into your business, or else you have to go to get a job. Nobody wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, Gail, what do you have up your sleeve when it comes to helping people figure out how to get their business out there?
Well, I'll go back to Carey. She's been in business, almost 25 years, right? And so she didn't start out being like totally all set. It's been a work in progress, and she's built and built and built and built, learning, stepping, doing more and more and more. So what I like to do is talk to people like Carey, say, how did you start? What would you suggest? I always suggest, if you're new in business and you really have a big vision, I would get a panel of people that I know that could be my imaginary board of directors.
Mhm.
I want to get somebody who, is going to be my friend, but also want to help me, encourage me, whether they are a lawyer, they are a banker, they are a marketing person. They're wearing all different hats that I'm not necessarily wearing. I'm not an expert in all those things, but I do need help and I need guidance. And I'm going to ask my friends who I know in these different wearing these different hats just to get me started, a sounding board to say, this is some of my ideas. And I'm just saying, I think that's a good idea. And that's why you would join a chamber if you could afford it. When people are starting out, they're putting money everywhere, and all of a sudden they realize, like, I can't spend another dollar because I don't have any money coming in yet. So you do have to give away a lot. I gave a lot away before I started making money. When I was doing talks, I would go to libraries. I would create, Carey could do that easily, just do little talks. I mean, she doesn't really need to build her business, but she's already got a great business. But that's why I think it's important for sharing. How did you do it? Right. So you can give advice to other people. This is what I did. You can do the same thing too. But I would just go and do free talks, and very motivational, inspirational. And I would always leave a little token, which I created myself, usually something that I would create that people could keep on their desk. I wanted them to see me on their desk every day. So I would leave something that give away, and they loved it. And years, even I could run into somebody today at the store and they say, oh, Gail, oh, I remember what you said. And that's why the name is, I am powerfully influenced using nuggets of knowledge, because people would remember a nugget of what I said, and only a nugget, trust me. So it would be that nugget. And they would say, I have it on my desk that you gave me years ago. I have stuff even here. Like in front of me, I pulled this up. I was talking one time about getting to your goals. I was talking about a beaver, how they work in the dams and stuff. So I created this like little bunch of beaver, like eucalyptus and wood. And I said, is what I'm doing right now getting me to my goal? And it keep it on your desk. I did little things like that all the time. And so that's just an idea, but that's what I would do if I was starting out. I would try to get a little board of directors to help me.
I love that idea. And also, I think ABWA, American Businesswomen's Association, was the first networking group that I joined when I was when I started out, and I had joined a different chamber. Now there was a marked difference between the two chambers, as I found out 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of free networking groups in almost every area. Mm-hmm. And so that's a good way to start out. But keep in mind that the free networking groups, people aren't as invested
right
in your success and their success. And so sometimes the paid groups, like the chambers, like ABWA, like BNI, if that works for you, though you're putting a little bit into it. And you don't have to join the most expensive ones, but when somebody is paying to go to something, mm-hmm. they're going to be there most of the time. They're going to have great information, and they are going to be more invested in making it a win-win for all of for everybody. So.
And I love BNI. I've been a BNI member for many, many years. I loved it so much.
Me too.
Very valuable.
I may not have sounded like that because I said, oh, it's kind of expensive, but I started 2 BNIs in the Clear Lake area because I loved it so much. I wanted to, promote it, and they got a hold of me because the way Houston was set up is it's a franchise. And so they had the West and the East, and the people that were in the East were actually owned by somebody in Louisiana, and they didn't have any in Clear Lake back then. That was a long time ago. And so I contacted them and kept bugging them, and they're like, look, if you want to be an eye in Clear Lake, you're going to have to build it yourself, but we'll help you. And so that I do understand it. What you said, Carey, when you have skin in the game, that's a totally different thing. So Gail and I are part of a group. It's only $5 a month, and it's weekly. It's a weekly mastermind. And you know what? People show up when they just even pay $5. It's called skin in the game for a reason, because it is. Because if it's free, I might go, I might not go, whatever. You don't really have that skin in the game. But if you're a member of something and you're paying even $5 a month, people do show up, don't they, Gail? They really
absolutely. Do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so important, that 30-second commercial, and to show up for the events, because you're like the pebble in the pond. I mean, and all those people that you're working with that are wearing the different hats, who are they going to call when they have a friend, they're at a party? This is a party season. Somebody's going to talk about their business. Oh, you got to meet my friend Carey. She's going to, set you up for life. I mean, that's what it's all about.
And there's something else, become a connector of people. And that's going to really, that's what I did in the very beginning. It was just organic. It was innate. If I knew two people and I thought that they would make great connections, but there are certain ways to make the connection. You don't just say, here, you should call this person. Right. You actually send an email, send a text, whatever, and introduce them, give them each, here's so-and-so, this is what they do. Here's,
absolutely,
please meet so-and-so. And here's the contact information. I think you would make a great connection. Yeah. And I was just doing that naturally. But that is a really important skill, because when people see that you're trying to help them in business, they're going to want to reciprocate.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing.
And BNI is the one where I first got the book Go Giver.
That's right.
Book. That's where I first found the book Go Giver, and that's all about the connector. It's all about connecting people.
Yeah, and then read. My other suggestion is do a lot of reading. Not necessarily. I mean, do some reading on obviously to hone your skills in whatever your business is, but also to hone customer service skills, to hone marketing skills, networking skills, all of that.
The people skills you talked about with your note cards, like the Send Out Cards company. I love Send Out Cards company because it can personalize
that reminds me. I got a card in the mail today from you, Gail, and it was it was from Send Out Cards. What she did was she went on my social media and she got she knows I love my grandkids so much. So she found a picture of me and my grandkids and sent it to me as my Christmas present. Oh my gosh. I was so, thank you, Gail. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Between my husband and I, we sent out almost 600 holiday cards.
Wow.
All of them were hand addressed by me.
Wow.
But it's, one more touch, you talk about the touches in business, about being present, about following up with your sphere and all of that. That's all.
Sphere of influence, right? Your sphere. Yeah. That's what's so important. We don't have to think, I want to reach somebody in Italy. It's like you have a huge sphere of influence that just keeps going and going and going. So whatever you do, they're going to be touched by you and they're going to do it. That's what's important. You're leaving a legacy. You are really leaving a legacy. And I love your little doll. That's
my avatar.
Yeah, it's so adorable.
It's just behind me.
Yes, I love it. It's just adorable. And it's all on your website and everything.
That's not my logo, but that's what people remember. That's what's on the front of my business card, because people definitely remember that. I didn't want to put my photo, but I was networking so much. I wanted people to remember who I was. So I created the avatar.
Love it.
That's wonderful.
It's adorable. It's perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you all that are watching this or listening. Remember, we are on YouTube. This is a a video podcast, so you can see us all with our funny faces on YouTube. It's a digital office at home, and we also are in your ear with all the podcasts. We're on iTunes and Spotify and all the great places where you can catch us when you're in the car, mowing the lawn, blowing snow, wherever you live. Sorry, Gail.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But that's what's great, Marian, about you. It's like even with all of our guests, you are giving them those tips. Be everywhere. Be on all those sites. Do one thing and share it in all of those social media areas.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you thank you very much for having me as a guest today.
Oh,
thank
well,
you
have
so
to
much,
come back
Carey.
again. Yeah, after
We
the
learned
first
so
year,
much
we'll
about
have you back again.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Gail was really impressed. She couldn't wait to meet you. So, and so everybody, do us a favor and go check her out. We want you to enjoy our guests as much as we do. So go and check it out. It's really easy. Carey, as you can tell, she's very kind. She's not going to hurt you. Just go check her out at Page by Page Graphic Design, and let her know. Let her know that you saw her on this cool podcast.
This cool podcast. Right?
Yeah.
And ask questions if you're just starting your business and you want me to go back and go into a little more detail about things that I think are important, record keeping, all of that. Please just reach out to me.
And you can share this, Carey, this link to your members of your chamber.
I will do so.
They'll learn more about you.
There you go. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say goodbye, but it's not the end because I do want to share a video with you. This is a very special community member. Gail and I are part of, I told you that, mastermind and part of a group of community members who absolutely are divine, in my opinion. Yes. And we created this video for them for a song that he made. And so I want to share that, and then we'll say goodbye. Hold on.
Thanks, Carey.
How do you make dreams come true?
It takes faith to make your dreams come true. Life has something special right here for you. Everything has a season, a reason to grow. So don't be discouraged by your obstacles. No, never give up. You're right to be happy. Never give up. Be all you are meant to be. Things will always come to get us down, and it only gets worse when we start to frown. Let's keep hope alive in our hearts. Smile with gratitude, that's when the magic starts. Never give up. You're right to be happy. Never give up. Be all you are meant to be. Never give up. You're right to be happy. Never give up. It's your